and here I am standing outside a fast food restaurant in Burlington, Ontario. Now, why would I be standing out here talking about paranormal stuff? Because I worked here as a teenager and there was a ghost here. And I'm not going to stay here. I was just driving by and thought, oh, okay, I plan on talking about this place anyway, so why don't I stop here and just show you a little bit of it. I don't want to name names or anything like that. They might not like that. But while I was here for 4 years and there was a ghost here. So actually what I wanted to do was just show you the door. And after I show you the door, because the door is significant, after I show you the door, I will get going and we'll talk about this later on tonight at my house. Okay. I can't go inside, obviously. I don't have a mask with me right now, but I just wanted to show you this door. Now, this door is the same as when I used to work here back in the, well, a long time ago. But I just want to show you the door itself and see how slow, because it's significant. It's open, and it closes on its own automatically. Now, see how slow that closes? I'm just going to do it again, just to show you. Open. There's another door like that just on the other side, and that's really significant. Something really creepy happened to me with those doors, and I just wanted to show you the doors. That's the only reason why I actually stopped here, was just to show you the doors. They're the ones that you pull open, they lock, and when they lock you can't pull them open, so that's important. I've actually just come back into my vehicle to tell you a little bit of what little history I could find on this place. The wind is blowing pretty bad and traffic going by. I was like, I don't even know if you can hear me when I talk out there, so I just thought I'd come in here and tell a little bit of the history. This is Burlington, Ontario, Canada. I'm on Plains Road, and I really couldn't find much history of this location. Somebody, when I was working here a very long time ago, told me that this was once like an old-fashioned kind of restaurant like they did in the 50s, where they would, you know, the waitress would come out to the car and put your food on a tray, but I don't think it was. I think somebody just told me that, but I asked my father, who's been around this area too, and he's like, no. And I did try and look at maps and things from like before I remember being ever here, and there was nothing. It would just look like open field. The pictures and the aerial pictures that I saw, it just looked like an open field. So I honestly don't think there was any other restaurants other than this one that's here now. But I don't have any memory of like, I started coming here at this restaurant when I was 7 years old. So I think this is the only restaurant that's ever been in this location. And I really couldn't find anything. I would look up the address itself, and all I would get was real estate agencies saying that it wasn't for sale. And so, but I was able to find a picture of a house that is actually still standing up there from about 100 years ago. And it said that it was a farm. And I'm thinking maybe this might have been farmland for that house. Like there was an apple orchard, and there was potatoes, and there was melons. Apparently in this town, watermelons was huge. Like, it was a huge seller. You know how they say PEI potatoes or Idaho potatoes? It was kind of like that with melons. It was like the Aldershot melons. I think that's what they said. And for some reason, that was a huge grower here. I also know it might have had something to do with importing goods on the water, because just over here is the lake. And obviously they would do stuff through shipping that way. So I'm thinking this area was probably either an orchard or a farm at one time, just from the pictures I was able to find. But I don't believe there was any other restaurants. There was no housing in this spot right here at any time. I believe it was a farm. So that's the little bit of history I could find on it, because whenever I would look up the address, I would either get this restaurant's advertisements or their website, or I would get a real estate agency saying it's not for sale. So that was pretty much all I could find. But yeah, I'm going to be on my way home, and I will do the full ghosty blog when I get home. Don't want to do it in my car. So here we go. And we are back. So welcome to my humble abode. Yes, we are finally inside. The weather is just getting too bad for me now. So rather than be out in front of the restaurant or on the side of the restaurant talking about this story, I thought I would be indoors in the comfort on my own little couch with my own little place. So this, yes, welcome to my humble abode. This is my place, and I like it very much. And I shall continue on with this story. So basically, yeah, I was working at this fast food restaurant. I started at the age of 16 and I finished probably just around when I turned just 21. So it was like my birthday's in June. Started working there in December when I was 16. So basically 4.5 years I was there. And it was great. I enjoyed working there very much, actually. Not so much for the work, but because of the people that I met. I was a very shy person. I was kind of like really in my shell. Like, I'm shy when I first meet people to begin with, but I was so far in my shell, there was no way I was coming out. But the people that worked there accepted me. I made some really good friends, had some really good times, had fun, and I don't regret ever being there. So I had a good time. It was a good way to spend my adolescence, I'll tell you that. But back to the ghost. Yes, there was a ghost in this fast food restaurant. And I don't know. It definitely was not residual. This was an intelligent person that was there. So whether or not it was somebody that worked there at the restaurant before I got there, I don't know. This restaurant had been there probably since about 1980. So it's entirely possible that somebody else was there. I have no idea. It could be somebody that maybe worked when it was a farmland or an apple orchard. It was something to do. I think it was an apple orchard. I was talking to somebody and they assured me that there was another fast food restaurant there before this one. I don't know. I wasn't around that area at that time, so I honestly don't know. But the pictures that I've seen, all I saw was open field. And they were aerial pictures. But this person said, no, in the 60s and 70s, it was this other restaurant, and it was kind of like that old 50s diner kind of style thing. And I don't remember it. My father doesn't remember it, but I wasn't around there until maybe the early 80s. So that's when and to me, it was always this restaurant that I'm going to be talking about right now. So basically, I'm going to start off with the voices, or the voice, because it was only ever one. I think it was just one resident ghost, honestly. It started off. Now, there's different positions that I would work, and usually it was either front cash or side cash. That was basically people who came into the dining room to eat, or the people who would go through the drive-thru. That was called side cash. And I actually liked working side cash because I could work by my own, work at my own pace, and you did the side cash. You made sure the cash was done, and you would work the dishes. You would wash dishes, or you would chop vegetables and stuff for the condiments and whatnot. And so that's when I first heard the voice. I was working in the back, and I was washing dishes, I believe. Yes, I was washing dishes. And all of a sudden, I heard, Kyla. And I'm like, who the heck's cleaning my name like that? That's weird. So I was like, okay. I'm thinking, it's a guy's voice, so it's a guy. There's one guy here, his name's Kevin, so he's probably in the front calling me. So I go around on the edge, and I'm like, yeah? And he's like, yeah, what? And I'm like, what do you want? You called me. And he's like, no, I didn't. So I'm like, okay. And I went to the office, and I'm like, the manager was a woman, but she didn't call me. So I was like, did you call me? And she's like, no. I'm like, okay. So then I went back to dishes, and then just a tiny bit louder, it was, Kyla. I'm like, what? So I'm getting kind of irritated now. So I go around to the front. I'm like, what? Are you calling me? And he's like, no, I'm not calling you. And I'm like, well, I keep hearing my name. Like, are you sure you're not calling me? He's like, no, I'm not calling you. So this went on for a while because it was a couple more times when I heard this, and I would just come around the front and just look at him, and he's like, no. At the point where he's like, I'm not calling you. So I'm like, all right, I'm just gonna leave that then, and I went to the back and I did the dishes, and I kept hearing it, and I got to the point where I just ignored it. I'm like, I don't know if there's something weird in the air vents going on or something. So I'm just going to leave it at that. And that was pretty much it. Never, it got to the point where it got so commonplace that it was every shift after that for about a year. This started probably my second year into it. So I was about 17 years old. And then every shift that I came in, I would hear my name being called. So I just started to ignore it. And so, yeah, that was that. And finally, I never told anybody about many paranormal experiences I had at that time. I was just kind of like, meh. But I became really good friends with one of the managers. Her name's Leslie, and we are friends to this day. So we're talking 30 plus years we've been friends. And so I trusted her because she also believed in the paranormal. And so I went to her. We were having a party at her place. I was spending the night. And finally I just said to her, I said, I've been kind of experiencing things at work. And she's like, what do you mean? And I told her about the voices, and she says, oh yeah, people call my name all the time. I'm like, really? And she's like, yeah, I hear this young man. He's always calling my name. I go out and there's nobody calling me. And I'm like, yes, okay, I'm not insane. Woo! So it wasn't just me. And then I got to the point where I was comfortable with her, so I was telling it to other people as well. And I found out I wasn't the only one. It was my friend Leslie, it was this person, it was that person, it was this person, and it didn't matter where you were working. You heard it from the opposite end of the restaurant. So if you were in the front, basically, okay, it was kind of weird the way the restaurant was. You'd walk in the front door of the building, and then you'd go to your right, and there was a door here, and that door led to behind the counter. So then you would make a left, you'd go past the front cash, you would go past the grill, you would go, and then you'd hit a wall, and you'd make a right, and then there's the side cash where the drive-thru was, and then you'd make another right, and you go straight down, and you'd pass the dishes and the side table where you would do all the cutting of condiments and things like that, and then you'd pass 2 fridges, and then back behind that there was a dry storage, and over in here there you would take a left, and there would be the employees lounge. So if you were up at front cash, you would hear voices in the back. So you would come back and you would be like, who's calling me? Nobody's calling me. If you were in the back washing dishes or cutting food or whatever, you would hear somebody calling your name from the front. If you were a manager, you were hearing somebody calling you outside their office. You know, it was just so crazy. And we just all got to the point where it was like, this is what it is. We don't know who it is. We don't know what it is. We're just going to leave it at that. But there's always the skeptic, isn't it? Always the skeptic. One of my favorite things is when the skeptic becomes the believer. Makes me very happy when that happens. And there was a friend of mine, his name was Daniel, and good guy. I enjoyed him immensely. He was hilarious. He was a cute guy, really funny guy. I enjoyed working with him 100% and thought he was just great. But he was a complete and total skeptic. He did not believe anything anybody was saying about ghosts. And he and I were talking about it one time, and he's like, you're just nuts. There's something wrong with your brain. And I'm like, but I'm not the only one hearing it. I said, so-and-so's hearing it, so-and-so and so-and-so. And he's like, then you're all crazy. You're all nuts. There's no such things as ghosts. There will never be anything called ghosts. Ghosts don't exist. He's like, that's it. You know, there's no ghosts at all. So you get to a point where you're just like, fine. I mean, you're never going to make a non-believer a believer, you know, no matter how much you tell them what you're saying. They're not going to believe unless they have the proof themselves. So you just let it go, right? I'm not a fighter, so I'm like, I'm not going to argue the issue. You don't want to believe? You don't want to believe. I don't care anymore. I'm going back to wash the dishes. So loved it at that. I'd say maybe about a week later, we were working together again. He was on side cash. This time I was up at front cash. And I don't even know what I was doing. I was probably just standing around because I was a teenager and we don't work. So I don't know. I was doing something. But I'm up front cash and I'm doing whatever I was doing. And Daniel comes around the corner and grabs my hand and holds onto it. And he goes, I want you to know, I believe you now. And I'm like, you believe me what? And he's like, I believe you when you say you hear voices calling your name. And I'm like, oh, why do you say that? And he goes, and he said it just like this. He goes, because it just happened to me. So it's like, aha, you non-believer. So even somebody got converted from being a non-believer to a believer. So who knows? Maybe. There were more people like that who didn't believe, and now they do. So, but when it was just the voices, it wasn't so bad. But then we started seeing things sometimes. Now, the reason why I'm pretty sure that our resident ghost was male was not only because of the voice sounded male, but I saw him. So this was one time I was in the back and I was cutting tomatoes. Now, I have this thing with these appliances that we use to cut the vegetables. We had a tomato cutter and I loved it. It was this big contraption and you would put the tomato in and you would push on this metal piece and it would go right through and make all these tomato slices. And I thought this was the most exciting. I loved cutting tomatoes at this job. I was like, let me cut tomatoes. And if it wasn't tomatoes, it was lettuce. Because the lettuce for the things, it was all shredded. and it was this contraption where you would put a whole head of lettuce in this contraption, and then you would take this lever and you would push down, and it would push it through the blades, and it would all come out shredded. And I'm very easy to amuse, I guess, but I was just like, I want to cut lettuce and tomatoes. I was just like, so I'm in the back and I'm cutting tomatoes and I'm having a great time sliding this stupid thing through and going, woo, I'm cutting tomatoes, woohoo. So I'm just doing my thing. I'm not talking to anybody. Nobody's talking to me. I'm just cutting tomatoes at this table. And, okay, at the table's over here and the sink's over here. The sink is where I would usually do dishes, and the table is where I would cut condiments and, you know, like tomatoes and lettuce and things like that. And beside this table is one walk-in refrigerator. And then beside that one is another walk-in refrigerator. And the one fridge would have, like meat, like the burgers in it, and I think it would also have milk, like little cartons of milk if people wanted milk. And the one beside that had the condiments like mayonnaise and pickles, and it had the heads of lettuce and things like that. So the vegetables in one, and the other, I guess the animal products in the other one. And I'm sitting there and I'm cutting the tomatoes, and I see a guy walk past me over here like this, and just keep on going and go into the employee lounge. Like, I just saw it in my peripheral vision, and it was a young man. I'd say probably maybe 5'6", 5'5", and he had dark hair. It wasn't long. It was maybe short. It was short, dark hair, and I thought it was Daniel, because Daniel had dark hair and he was about 5'6", and I was like, what's he doing? He's not scheduled to work today. Why is he here? So now I'm being nosy. So I walk back. I go past the fridges and I turn the left, and I go into the employee area where you hang your coats and everything up, and I'm like, Daniel, what are you... There's nobody here. So it was just like, okay, that's odd. So there was nobody there, but I am 100% sure in my corner, because I got really good peripheral vision. I can see here. This is like, I can see my hand right here. And so I thought, okay, I'm not quite sure what I just saw, but I don't know if I imagined it. I don't know. Who knows? So I was like, all right, I'm just going to ignore that and go back up to the front. So, and then I was back another time. This was a different time. I'm in the back, and on this time, I'm on the other side, and I'm washing dishes. So I'm doing my dishes. I got the little hose thing going, and I'm like, dishes being washed, yada, yada, yada. And in this peripheral vision this time, I see the same person that I saw that other time. Dark hair, about 5'6", walk past me. I'm washing the dishes. I see this person. I see them open the second door, the one that has the lettuce and the condiments and things in there. They open that door and walk inside. And I turn my head and I look directly at the fridge door. And I'm looking at it directly, and I'm watching it close. So it had to open. I heard the click of it open. It opened. And then I saw the person with my peripheral vision walk inside, and then I turned my head and saw it close on its own. So for sure, that door was open because I watched it close. So I'm whatever. Okay, they're probably getting something for the sandwich station, so I'm just continuing washing my dishes. And then I realize it's been a long time. They've been in that fridge for a really long time. Now, you don't want to spend a long time in these fridges because it gets cold, right? So it's not a freezer, it's a fridge, but it's still cold. So I'm like, I hope they're okay. So I'm like, I'm going to check on them just to make sure they're all right, because it has been a while. So I get there, I open the fridge, and there's nobody there. Now, these fridges make a clicking sound and a bang when they close. So you know when they've been opened, and you know when they're closed. Even if you don't see it, you can hear it. It goes boom. And it never did that a second time. It did it the first time, and when somebody walked in, but it never made that noise again for somebody to walk out. So why was there nobody in there if nobody came out? So I found that rather interesting too. So we even had parts where things would move. So, okay, now for me, I personally did not see too many things move, but we had gotten to a point where people were talking about the ghost all the time. No secrets were held with this ghost anymore because everybody had experienced something. And even those who had not experienced anything and didn't believe, they were at the point where they just didn't want to argue about it anymore. It's like, fine, if you believe, fine, just don't talk to me about it. So, you know, people were very free, very open about what happened there. And a lot of people, because I was one of the first people to actually say something was going on, came to me about it. And so that when something moved, they would tell me. And so these are things that my coworkers saw. I never personally saw them happen, but so they would say that the spatulas that were for this at the sandwich station that had the mayonnaise and the ketchup and things like that, these spatulas would fly out of the pans they were in and slam on the floor, making a mess. They'd have to clean up the mayonnaise that fell on the floor or whatever like that. Another story that I was told was straws. So just say this is a straw, and they were in holders like this at Side Cash. And you put them in the holders like that, and they would stay there kind of like that. And so when somebody came through, this is before paper cups, or before paper straws, or before paper holders on the straws. So we would just make the burger. They had a drink. You just take it out, put it in the bag, give them their bag, and off they go. Well, apparently we'd have like a whole stuff of them, a whole series of straws in the holder. And what happened, these people saw was that it would come out, fly out like this, and land on the floor. Like a whole series of them would do that. And so that would be a little disconcerting, I think. I heard stories of like paper cups flying off the shelves. I heard stories of paper bowls falling off the shelves and things like that. I don't know if those are paranormal. There was one thing that I did witness. Again, I don't know 100% if it's paranormal, or if there was just something wrong with the wiring or something wrong with the structure of the building. I'm not sure. But the fluorescent lighting grids, there was these grids that would go, there's the lights, the tubes, and then there'd be these grids just sort of covering them as a decorative thing, I guess. But they would tremor. They would like, and you could hear it. Quite a distance away from there is a train station, so maybe it was the reverberations of a train going by. I think it was a little bit far for that, so I don't know, maybe something just going on. But that would happen every once in a while, but I can't put that up to be paranormal, but that is something that I did witness. So aside from the fridge door and aside from the grid shaking, I only saw one movement thing, and it actually scared me. This was the only thing that happened to me while I was working there that scared me, that actually gave me fear. And so I was working on the front cash, and the restaurant house had been closed. So once the restaurant closes, the person who works front cash has to make sure the dining room is clean. So you wipe down all the tables, you vacuum the carpet on the floor, you make sure the bathrooms are clean, all that kind of stuff like that. So the manager came out and said, "We're closed." I said, "Okay." So I went with the manager, and he goes to there's two front doors at the front, and he would close it. And I showed you those doors. Remember those doors? How they just opened and then they closed on their own? So he went to the door, he pulled it, made sure it was shut, locked it, and then he pushed on the glass. And when he pushed on the glass to make sure that it did not open, so it was locked. So he went from one, then he went to the other door on the other side, did the same thing. Pulled, lock, push, didn't open. Good, doors are locked. Then there was another one at the other side of the restaurant, and he went down over there and made sure the same thing with that one. Fine, done. So he goes back into the office to do the paperwork. I go over to the tables. I start wiping down these tables. I am wiping down the tables. I am facing the two doors that are on either side. One door has windows, so when I can see people coming in at that side over there, and the other side was the one that I opened when I was there, just to show you how the door opened and closed on its own. That one has the wall behind it, as you remember. So I'm washing the tables, not thinking anything, just looking around, washing tables. All of a sudden, both of those doors, both of them, fly open with force. Like, we're just like, whoosh, fly open. Hit, I don't know about the other one. I know that the one by the window actually hit the window with such force that the window, actually there's two windows, and they both shook to the point that I thought the windows were going to break. And then it went, boom, bang, and then, boom, and then slam shut. Like, we're not just talking how, when it opened and then it just closed on its own. This thing went, boom, boom. And I was like, what was that? Oh my God. Like, what was that? What was that? What was that? What was that? So my brain is trying to rationalize what was going on. I'm like going, oh my God, Did somebody just sneak in here? That I, for whatever reason, even though I'm looking right at it, did somebody sneak past me, get in the door, and get into the washrooms on that side, that side of the building over there that I'm looking at? And I'm like, we had problems at that time because this is before they had, surveillance video of everywhere. We had problems at that time of people breaking into the restaurant and stealing food and stealing. We had like a TV for training videos and stuff like that. They took all the videos, they took the TV, so we had problems of people breaking in. One time, the scariest time, there was a manager, she was here all by herself, and somebody was waiting for her to leave, and they were up in the ceiling tiles waiting for her to go. And when she left, they broke through the ceiling tile. We don't know if that person fell or what I think happened is he broke the ceiling tile, and because there's footprints on the inside on the ceiling and also on the wall, I think maybe he broke the ceiling tile and then kind of guided himself down the wall with his feet. I don't know. All I know is what I know, and that this person was hiding in the ceiling tiles. So my first reaction to this, aside from I almost pooped my pants, was was okay, maybe somebody sneaked in here and I didn't see them, and now they're hiding in the bathroom waiting for us all to leave. So I'm 17 years old. I'm like, I ain't checking this out. It's like, not my job. So I ran and got the manager and told him what happened, and he didn't believe me. He thought I was making up a story. And I'm like, I'm not making it up. The door, this is what happened with the doors. They were locked. You saw them. I said, I know I saw them locked. I also know what I saw afterwards. They flew open and they slammed shut. And he's like, yeah, that doesn't happen. I know about your ghost stories. And I'm like, I don't care what you believe or don't believe, but you have to believe that this happened, and I fear that there might be a human being inside the building. So he was like, fine. So he came out, he looked around the building. He's like, I don't see anybody. I said, check the bathroom. He checked the bathroom. He checked the stalls. I even made him stand on the toilet and check the ceiling tiles. I was that nervous. There was nothing. There was nobody. And he was like, I'm done with you. Stop stalling. That's what he said. Stop stalling and get your work done. I'm like, yeah, like I'm the type of person that wants to stall while working. Like I just would want to get out. But I was mad. So I was really mad at him for saying that. 2 months later, I felt validated though, because it happened again, but not with me. I was working in the back this time, and there were two people out in the front in the dining room this time. Why there was two people? They were both working. I don't know why they were both out there. I don't know if one was talking to another person about something. I don't know. But whatever. There was two people in the dining room. Dining room was closed. Dining room was locked. Same manager, actually. So I was back doing whatever, I think it was washing dishes, and they were in the front, and they came running into the back, and they were panicked. And one of the girls looked at me and says, you are not going to believe what happened out there. Now, this was a story I didn't tell anybody because of the negative reaction I received from the manager, so I just sort of kept this one to myself. And she said, you're not going to believe it. You're not going to believe it. You're not going to believe it. And she said the same thing. The doors were locked. I saw him lock the doors, and they flew open and slammed shut. Not only those two there, but the other one in the back, all three doors at the same time, and two people at the same time witnessed this. So they started to panic, and I'm like, thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you. I feel so validated now. And I'm like, yeah, that happened to me about a couple months ago. And again, the manager, he was like, oh my God, you guys are just girls looking for attention. And I'm like, are you kidding me? I was like, oh, I was so mad at this manager, so mad at him. But yeah, so I felt validated because it didn't just happen to me, it happened to two other people. So huzzah! I feel good about that one. And not only that, but then this leads me to the photograph. So this part of the story happened when I was I think I was probably around 19, 20 years old. And as I've said before in the past, I am a photographer, and I have basically been carrying around a camera since I was 11 years old. And this includes my time at this restaurant. So I would take my camera there all the time. Back then it was film. So I would take pictures of the employees. We would dress up for Halloween. So I would take pictures of us in all our costumes. I would take pictures of us, making burgers. And I have so many pictures of just being there, and parties that we went to afterwards and things like that. So, because I became such good friends with a lot of the employees there at this time, I would not only be there while I was working, but I would be there socially as well. And there would be times where I would go and, just wait for the person's shift that I was, for them to be done their shift. And then we would go and, hang out or do whatever. And, so that's what I was doing this day. I was around 19, 20 years old. I was sitting in the dining room, and the restaurant was closed. And I was waiting for my friend to finish her shift, and then we were going to take off. So the restaurant's closed. I'm sitting in the dining room, and somebody took my camera from me because I had taken pictures of a bunch of the managers and stuff like this. The managers, the co-workers and things like that. And she had taken it from me, and she took a snapshot of me. So this is me in the dining room. I just covered up the name of the dining room. So that's me right there at about 1920. Days gone by. So with my long blonde hair that's all permed and curly because, that was the way to go back then. And I'm just waiting. And she took the picture, and then she came back over and she put it down on the table and she walked away, and she's working in the back. And at this time, this restaurant had just been renovated. It was a lot different, a lot cruddier than it used to be here. This was brand new carpet, brand new tables, brand new lamps, brand new chairs. It was awesome. And everything was brand new, and everything was clean. And I cracked the joke. I'm like, oh my God, the dining room is clean. I'm like, I'm going to take a picture for posterity. So I just, still sitting in this chair, still sitting in this exact spot like this. I just picked up the camera, took one snapshot across the room. That was it. I made the joke, put the camera down, continued reading, or I think I'm reading a paper or something there, waiting for my friend. And because it was film, I had to wait till it came back. And there's something in the picture that I can't explain what it is. Now, as I said before, I've been obsessed with photography for pretty much as long as I can remember. There's actually a picture of me at 1 year of age trying to grab my dad's camera like this. I'm like trying to grab my dad's camera, and I'm 1 year old and I'm trying to grab the camera. And I remember as a child, I kept wanting to touch my dad's camera. I wanted that camera. So basically from the time I was 11 years old, I started taking cameras with me everywhere I went, taking pictures all the time. So since I was 11 till now in my professional career, I have taken thousands upon thousands and thousands of photographs. No questions whatsoever. And in all that time, there's only 2 pictures. 2. That I can't figure out what is in that picture. I do kind of roll my eyes sometimes at people with their ghost photos because 99% of those photos are easily explained. It's, dust or smoke or fog or mist in the air or water droplets in the air, and people are so, they want to believe so bad. And I understand that because I want to believe so bad. I do believe, I do believe in spooks. I do. But you gotta have a rational mind. And when you look at these pictures and they're so excited, one time I was at one place, they even said, when you take pictures in the direction of the sun, you get a lot of orbs, ghost orbs. And it's like, no, you don't. You get refractions of light from the sun. It's just like, okay. All right. Just let you have your thing. I'm not going to argue with you. If you want to believe that, you want to believe that. But it is what it is, So, but there are 2 that I have taken that I'm sitting there going, what the hell is that? This is one of them. I'm a pretty low-tech person. I'm hoping that I'm able to get the picture scanned. I've got the picture scanned, and I'm hoping I'll be able to show it through video, but I'm very bad at video editing. So just in case I can't, I'm going to show you here. Where is he? There's the flash right there where that piece is. And then beside it here, I don't know if you can see him, there's a guy right there. Now, some people have looked at this and they're like, yeah, it's you taking the picture. And I'm like, really? Because I don't think I'm a guy with short hair. It's not me. Not me at all. That is not me. So I'm hoping you can see this because it's not me. And he ends at the shadows, or at the shoulders. So he goes down to about here, and then there's nothing. And he only has half a face. There's only half a face there. And some people go, well, it's the Flash. I'm like, no. This is the flash right here, where I'm sitting, right there. That's the flash. Who is this right here? That is not flash. I don't know who that is. I was in the dining room by myself. I'm not, and this person, there was nobody outside. There was nobody outside looking in. There was absolutely nobody around me when I took this picture. So I don't know who that is. And I don't know who he is. I don't know why he ends at the shoulders. And I think, I'm trying to remember now. I need to get my loupe and take the magnifier and look at it even closer. I think it looked like a skull to me when I looked at it. Covering up the name of the restaurant again. I think it was kind of like half of like a skull almost looking like. So I don't know. To this day, I don't know what this is. And yeah. So, so to me that was so exciting because I was just like, what the hell is that? Who is that? I don't know who that is. But interesting fact here too. This over here is the door. Oh wait, no, over here. That's the door that flew open and slammed shut. So over here, the door is what flew open, hit this window, and these two windows are the ones that reverberated and went, you know, to the point that I thought they were going to break. And then the door over here slammed shut. So I'm thinking it was maybe this person here. This guy. I think this might be our resident ghost who will walk around in the back and call our names and move spatulas and go into walk-in fridges and hang out. Yeah, so that to me, that is very thrilling when I saw that picture and I didn't know who it was. And it didn't look like anybody who worked there. It doesn't even look like a full-formed person. And I know for a fact there was nobody outside. I know that for a fact. There was nobody outside. So, who was it? So I'm very, 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 very excited about that picture. And that was taken over 20 years ago. So I don't know who that was. And to this day, I still look at it and I still can't figure it out. I just know that there was nobody outside and it wasn't me. And I was alone in the dining room, so it's not a reflection of somebody behind me over here. Yeah, so that's my big thing with that. And with that, that is the 1% of the 99% that you can explain. That's the 1% you can't. So with that, I am going to go. That is my story of my time working at the fast food restaurant with our little ghost. So I was there for 4.5 years, and for about 3.5 of those years, he was around. So I don't know if he was a former employee of that restaurant. I don't know if he was a former employee of the restaurant that my friend claims was there. I don't know if he was somebody who maybe worked in the fields, whether this place was an apple orchard or whether it was like a farmer's field or something like that. I think it might have been an orchard because there was a lot of orchards in Burlington at that time. So who knows? I don't know. It's like something to think about. It was fun. I had a great time working there. I made a lot of friends, made a lot of trouble. So with that note, I guess I'm going to go. Conclude what you want with that picture. I know what I saw, and all these stories, yes, it all did happen. So again, you make your own decisions on whether or not I'm telling the truth or just telling tall tales. But trust me, I'm telling the truth. So with that, I'm going to take off now, and I hope you have a wonderful, wonderful time, and I hope it gets warmer before it gets colder. Let's hope. It was pretty bad weather these past couple days here. So just remember, just because your 5 senses can't detect it doesn't mean it's not really happening.